Well, it wasn't meant to be this difficult to chase. Australia almost making a meal of it, but then getting the job done with 2 balls in hand. So Australia have won this game against South Africa. They looked like in the middle they were trying their best not to. They really were self-sabotaging a few times here. But then Marcus Stoinis, well, the man with a plan, yeah. 24 not out of 16 balls. So he's the guy who got the job done and has got Australia the points here in the 13th match in Super 12 in Group 1 on this Saturday, which is the 23rd day of the 10th month of the 25th. I should stop now. That's a lot of numbers. Yeah, we're not here to talk about numbers. We're here to talk about stories and insight. I'm Gaurav Kapur. This is Cricbuzz Live. Got Dinesh Karthik and Simon Doull here with me. Dooley, jeez, man. Wow. Talk about self-sabotage, huh?
Two rusty-looking batting lineups and 2 bowling lineups. And DK mentioned this at the start. We all talked about it. 2 bowling lineups that had actually been playing some cricket. When you think about the Nortjes and Rabada, Shamsi just a little bit, probably more than some of the other bowlers that the Australian bowlers have been playing in the recent tournament here in the UAE. So you had, 2 sort of very different batting performances. But I love the fact, and sometimes these low-scoring games can be cracking games. Australia getting over the line, they should have done it a lot more comfortably, yes, but they will be very thankful for the win. And I've got to say, I've got to applaud Bavuma's captaincy. He fired all his guns, he tried, did everything he possibly could. And yes, he was left with Pretorius with 2 at the back end, 2 of the last 3 to bowl, but he fired his guns, he gave it a crack, and he made a very good game of it.
Yeah, DK, you'd have to appreciate it. We were talking about that in the comm box, right? You mentioned how Bavuma had thrown Rabada in for 3 overs, right up front, and that is attacking captaincy.
Oh, absolutely. I think he led the team really well. I think that's one of the reasons why he's the skipper of that team. I think over a period of time, their results also show that they've played some good cricket. They went to Sri Lanka and beat Sri Lanka 3-0 on wickets that probably didn't help them. Coming back to this game, I think obviously one of the positives that South Africa can take back is definitely Bauma's captaincy and the fact that they really fought with the ball. They had their plans right. They set some good fields, some interesting fields, and they really bowled well. I mean, they used Rabada perfectly. Nokia, as usual, continuing his form through the IPL, really good. Keshav Maharaj, it's going to be very interesting because he's a key bowler for them in the sense that he's a finger spinner. So if he doesn't come good, there's a big chance South Africa can obviously lose the plot while bowling. Obviously, in many ways, Pretorius is their weak link, so to say, because he's the 5th bowler. He's picked so that he can balance the side out. And as usual, Tabraiz Shamsi coming good and under pressure when he knew the game. The people watching the game knew Macram was going to play a reverse sweep. The bowler knew he was going to play a reverse sweep. People sitting in Australia knew he was going to play a reverse sweep, and he did. But this time, Shamsi got the better out of him, and that was good to watch.
People sitting on the moon who've never watched a cricket game knew that he was going to play a reverse sweep. Yeah, Dooley?
No, they're asking what is a reverse sweep.
But on the moon, a reverse sweep is a sweep, right? Because there's no grab. Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Yeah,
we need some science nerds to tell us what happens there. But the fact is, he wanted to hit it to the moon, but he didn't. But the play of the day has got to be that Macram catch. Jeez, a bit of faff in that, right, at the boundary?
Well, I mean, DK will have met and seen Adam Macram. He is an enormous human being. For a batsman, he is a big guy. Like, he's built like what we would say a brick outhouse. He is an enormous man. He's got big hands, and he's a terrific mover in the field as well. And what a catch. What a catch. What a way to start off the Super 12 with a catch like that. I'm sure we'll see many more, but that'll start the sort of the highlight reel, I suppose you would say, of the Super 12s.
An outhouse, basically a brick outhouse, what they call in New Zealand, is the external facilities, right? Which all Indian homes have always had. So we don't think there's any big deal about that. We just say build like a bull because the bulls here are pretty big, as in Spain. A lot of pain, though, for Nokia there with that ball. Stoinis hit really hard. If he got his fingers on that, right? If he got his hand, he got his fingers to that, actually, which was mildly scary there, DK. But if he had got that ball, that could have been game, set, and match because Stoinis really looked like the only guy who looked like he was batting on a different surface here.
He did bat really well. I think Stoinis obviously initially absorbed pressure. He batted well. He saw that Shamsi overthrew, which was important for him. But for me, the key over was Rabada. Matthew Wade got one lucky boundary, but the last shot that he hit was a very critical boundary. They needed 4 overs, 38 runs, and they got 10 runs. So that was a very critical over. Just like Dooley had said, Bauma obviously, opened his cards up and said, hey, let's go for my best bowler. And as usual, Rabada delivered, created that opportunity, almost taken by Macram. Wade batted brilliantly, but towards the end, Stoinis came good. I mean, at the end, at the death, with fast bowling especially, he's really good because, again, I would think that he's also a bit of a brick house. He's massive in stature, and anything full to him, he can tonk it outside the ground.
Yeah, I think those 2 shots were very important when Matthew Wade really turned the game at that point in time. There was 1-4, kind of, Macram went for the catch at mid-off, but I think it was too short, right? It was short. It was not dropped. It was short. But then that last shot that you talking about, the boundary, little cute, steps outside off, hits it over, shot fine. Well, that's you got to give it. When you're doing that to Rabada, you got to be pretty confident. And especially when you see your counterpart, the left-handed wicket-keeper, who's made a right royal hash of the same kind of shot, Dooley, looked at that and you were like, whoa, no. But, of course, it came off for Wade.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons Matthew Wade's in the side as well. He is inventive. He has got the shots. He's very quick between the wickets. Obviously, he's number one, first and foremost, he's got to keep, and he keeps to the 2 spinners. And I think in this format of the game, you can't go into a tournament where you're going to use a lot of spin with a part-time keeper. You must have an out-and-out wicket keeper when you've got quality spinners. So that's why he's in the side first and foremost. But he's quick between the wickets. He's nifty. A typical wicket keeper, I would say, DK, who plays reverses, plays normal sweeps, innovative, can get down and play those lap shots off the quick bowlers. So he's picked to do that finishing role, and he did it today. That one over, those 2 boundaries were crucial in the scheme of things.
Yeah, DK, I mean, Matthew Wade's a very interesting character, right? Because you felt like he was out of Australian consideration. He's kind of just plowed his way back in, right? Like a battering ram. Because there was a time where white ball, you just knew it was Alex Carey, right? Become vice captain as well. He's kind of got in there. Tim Payne was the test captain. He got in there as a batter. He's quite an interesting character. That's the kind of forget the runs, forget the record. Those are the kind of tenacious characters that you want as finishers, right?
Absolutely. If you want to win big tournaments, you need people with a fight. You need characters. And that's why I always keep saying Hardik Pandya is very important for the Indian setup because he's a character. You need those kind of people there to win you those big moments. Matthew Wade in his defense obviously has lost his place in the test side, but still finding a way to fight and stay in this white ball setup, in the T20 setup. In fact, interestingly, he was even the captain when Aaron Finch was not around. So they obviously rate him high. But I keep believing the difference between stupidity and being brave is the result in cricket. Quinton de Kock looks stupid because he got out, and Matthew Wade looks like an absolute champion because of the boundary he is able to execute at that stage.
Yeah, you know why I asked DK that tenacious wicketkeeper question, right?
No,
Finisher, tenacious wicketkeeper. Why, Dooley?
I thought it was a good
domain expertise, perhaps? Just a little bit, yes. We're going to be asking you some domain expertise questions with the second game now, DK, because a lot of your buddies, a lot of your pals are playing on either side, right? We've got England playing West Indies. England have won the toss and they have decided to bowl first. So could we see this as a trend? I mean, look at me predicting a trend with just the second game here in the Super 12, but come on, early calls. That's how we get them in. We get them in as early calls. Let's talk about Ewan Morgan first, DK, as a captain, because Michael Vaughan and me were having a discussion during the KKR time, and he said that Morgan's the kind of guy who would want his team to win so much that he'd step down as captain and say, I'm not going to be in the 11. Whereas my opinion was that it's kind of counterproductive for a captain who's there for his leadership role to not play. It could kind of derail the team, right? So first of all, your opinion, because you've seen him, you've played under him, you've played with him. You guys also went through something when you wanted to, give up captaincy. He got it, that transition phase as well. So just feel free to throw light on that, how the transition happened, how the team took it, and this thing of a captain perhaps sitting out if he feels like he's not in form, it's for the best interest of the team. Sorry, that's a lot of questions.
For a start, I think I am on board with you. I think it's very counterproductive, especially the back end of the tournament, which was, how we played the tournament, for him to drop himself and play somebody else. Because there's a lot of talk, can Russell play as a batter, X, Y, Z? But the point here is, I think he took the right decision. He decided to play because as a player, you have two roles there for him. One is his batting and one is his captaincy. Definitely one of the main reasons why we were able to reach the knockout. In fact, the finals, you got to give him some credit there. He made the right bowling changes. He had the right field placements. Almost throughout the game, you need to make literally about 60 to 80 decisions in terms of field placement, in terms of bowling changes, all of that. It's not easy. It looks very simple from outside, but just having a short fine leg and a short square leg could make the difference. Whereas he was able to take those decisions consistently, and you got to give him credit for that. Yes, he's even given an interview saying that if need be, I'll step out of the team if that is what it's going to take for England to win the World Cup. But let me tell you this, let's not forget, if England are number 1 in the T20 rankings today, please give some credit to Eoin Morgan. He's been an absolute champion as a leader. From 2015, when they got shoved out of that World Cup, he's taken them to different heights in 2019, gone on to win the tournament, and today he's made the T20 team the number 1 in the tournament. Going into the tournament, India and England on paper are front runners for this World Cup. So let's not take that credit away from him. Yes, in the last probably 6 to 8 months, he's not probably batted as well as he would have liked, but that's okay. That's a small part of the game. And knowing him, he always gets those odd sixes. The expectation is that he should bat like probably, somebody who can get a 50, 60, but he bats slightly lower down the order. He's able to absorb pressure a lot of the times. But look what he's done to the franchise. He's brought the franchisee to a final. I mean, KKR would give him an arm and a leg to make him the captain and then bring the team all the way to the final. And you got to understand, halfway through the tournament, none of them gave us a chance because we were in 7 games. We'd lost almost 5 games. Not almost, we lost 5 games. Yeah. And from there to turn it around, I think he's a great leader. He's a lovely guy. And every person in that English team respects him as a leader, trusts him. And that's why he's able to, consistently bring out the best as players. If for India, there's an MS Dhoni, for England, there is Eoin Morgan.
No, it's brilliant. It's so well articulated. And Dooley, just to get your opinion on that, it's not like DK saying you've got to reward him for his legacy or reward him for the hard work he's put. It is the hard work he's still putting as a captain, inspirational leader. Listen, we've just seen somebody lift a trophy, a captain, MS Dhoni, lift a trophy without any contribution from the bat. But you can't say that he didn't have a contribution in the tournament or in the win because he was so important for them to win the trophy, especially in T20 cricket, where ball-by-ball decisions can change the fate of a game.
100%. I totally agree with everything DK said. I mean, MS had that one game against Delhi where he came out and hit Avesh Khan, didn't he? The slower ball to mid-wicket.
The long con. He made us believe that he couldn't hit those shots anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That was about it. But I mean, look, I think the fact that Eoin Morgan has such respect as a skipper, and we were sitting in the commentary box, and yet we always talk about the fact that, okay, if they're going to replace him, who do they replace him with? How do they do it? But then you look at his captaincy, you look at the bowling changes, you look at the way he used Ferguson and Marvi and Narayan and Chakravarti at Sharjah. And it was so much about his captaincy that got Kolkata to that IPL final. Okay, they didn't get across the line, but his captaincy was an enormous part of it. When you're a bowler, you've got 2 jobs, bowling and fielding. Sometimes you have to bat. As a skipper, that's your job. Yes, you do have a job as a batsman, but captaining the side is so important as well. So he has an incredible amount of respect in that England dressing room. The other thing what I don't like is when people say, "Oh, he's got to go. Get rid of him." Okay, who are you picking? Who's your captain? Who are you going with? Now, in that England setup at the moment, Joss Buttler is an option, but to me, Joss Butler's too timid. I don't think he doesn't have anywhere near the presence or the sort of the street fighting ability of an Eoin Morgan, in my opinion, and that's why he's there, because he just wins. He wants the fight. He wins the fight, and he wants to be in it. And I think that's what brings out the best in those players as well. I have no doubt that if he feels like their team can win without him or are better off without him, I have no doubt he would step aside. But I don't see that happening in a hurry.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're in the ground and Eoin Morgan is batting, if you're near the cow corner, square leg, that region boundary anywhere deep on the leg side, Morgan can hit a few sixes even when he's out of form that side. You wake him up from his sleep and he can hit a few sixes there. So that could happen. Let's see what he's working with today. Let's just see his bowlers, of course, the 11 that England is putting on the field today. Of course, with Morgan as captain, we've got Butler and Jason Roy, great opening combination. David Malan, Johnny Bairstow, Eoin Morgan, Liam Livingston. Obviously, in that practice game, you saw he had hurt his fingers going for that catch, had gone off the ground. Obviously, he's fine now. Moeen Ali, Chris Wokes, Chris Jordan, Tamal Mills, and Adil Rashid. Jeez, DK, that is, my God, that's like a fantasy 11 right there, right? In terms of its mix and versatility.
Absolutely. As I'm looking at them going, wow, that's a lot of options there in the batting. They have power throughout. And with the bowling as well, they have some proper options at the death up front. They got a wrist spinner, they got 2 finger spinners. Look, they're a team that's well sorted. It's not a joke. It's not by chance that they're number 1 in the world. They have a reason and they have a process, and they've done it well over a period of time. They knew this 11 way before anybody else did. We were speculating, but they were sure about it. And when you see it right now, you feel like, wow, that's a great 11. You got to remember this. There's no Sam Curran, there's no Archer, and there is no Ben Stokes. Still, they look a very formidable lineup. Give credit to ECB and the way they have kind of made their team over a period of time.
Dooley, you got to be. I mean, your DK's got such a good point. This team doesn't have a Ben Stokes and a Jofra Archer, 2 X Factor players, 2 game changers, 2 match winners, and still your team can look like this. We lost you. We lost you. Can I not hear you? Can you not hear me? Well, we've lost his audio. Simon, you have a very pretty face, but we really want to hear you as well. We really would like to hear you.
I also feel, the beauty about England, Morgan's captaincy is his partnership with Nathan Lehmann. We keep talking about taking cricket to another level. I think what him and Nathan Lehmann, the analyst, have done over a period of time is brilliant. You take sports like AFL, you take soccer. It's in many ways managed from people by outside. They set the strategy. But Nathan Lehmann and him have brought that to cricket. It's not like everybody thinks. Morgan doesn't just look at those signals and keep doing what Nathan Lehmann is suggesting from outside. It is basically a thought that comes from inside. He values that thought and then decides whether he should be going in that direction or whether what he is taught is the right direction to be in. It's more an affirmation. It is not the gospel truth that comes out from there. So we need to make that distinction between the two.
DK, I need to ask you because the fans will need to know. Yes, so Dooley, you're here, but you'll also like this question, I'm sure. You'll also like this question. Is that can you tell us what those codes are, or have you signed a non-disclosure agreement?
I wish I could tell you. I know it in IPL, but it's I enjoy the way that they have formed a team together and they're able to operate well together.
I have a feeling that they're just like random OTPs that he's sending just to confuse other people, right? For delivery packages.
If you can get some money in the account, why not? Give it a go.
I don't know what it is, but it is something. The West Indies 11, let's have a look at them. These guys have also some interesting things have been happening with them. You'd think, they are defending champions, right? You'd think that they'd be one of the front runners, but somehow they aren't. And we'll talk about that in a second. Of course, Kieran Pollard is captaining them, but right at the top, Evan Lewis, smoking form for Rajasthan this time. You saw him do his bit. Lendl Simmons, Chris Gale, who actually left the Punjab bubble early to kind of clear his head and give his best, which probably will be his last World Cup. Or with Gale, you never know. He could be back next year because there's one in 12 months. Shamron Hetmeyer, Nicholas Pooran, their wicketkeeper, the captain himself. Andre Russell's in the team, so that'll make a lot of people very happy. Then there's the experience of Dwayne Bravo, CPL winning captain. He's there. Akil Hussain, Ravi Rampal, and Obid McCoy. Let's get you in first up on Andre Russell, right? I don't even want to ask you anything. I just want to say Andre Russell, discuss in 100 words.
Superman, he's a lovely cricketer, very, very interesting personality as well, great guy. But when it comes to this tournament, first, I think he'll just test his waters a little bit. I think he's, practice fit. He hasn't played a game in almost a month's time now. So he will be slightly on edge getting into this game. Luckily for him, he's batting first. So, when he bats, he feels a lot more confident. He can then bring on his bowling to the second part of the game. A very interesting 11. Again, looks a solid side. They got some serious left-handers there in 3, 4, and 5. It's going to be, I'm sure it'll be a batting order that's very flexible, very fluid. They'll go according to what the over is before they decide who goes in. But it looks, again, a side that is very, very competitive and a very good team. At the initial stages of this tournament, it does feel like a very good team.
Dooley, just on their batting order, right? The batting order for T20, do you feel it's a little ODI? Hang on. Let me tell you what I mean. One-dimensional intent.
Yeah, I worry about it a little bit. I personally, look, he might come out and get 50 or 60 today and prove me wrong, but I wouldn't have had Chris Gale in the side. I just think his form has dipped. I would have liked to have seen Roston Chase in there. And I think Roston Chase would play a very similar role to what we saw a Steve Smith type innings in that Australian innings. And I think at some stage through the tournament, the West Indies are going to need that type of role. The other thing that Roston Chase does is he offers you another bowling option. Now with Andre Russell's leg, hamstring, the knees, the areas that he's had all that trouble with, I just think that between he and Pollard and Gale, maybe they've got to get a minimum of 4 overs out of those guys. And they've got to hope that a young man like Akil Hussain can get through his 4 overs. He's a terrifically talented left-arm spinner, Akil Hussain. But, it's a massive stage. So you just wouldn't mind a little bit of backup. I hope Russell's fit to bowl. I presume he is if he's playing. But, I just think that Roston Chase, right-handed option, bit of right-arm off-spin if required as well. Brilliant in the field. I just wonder whether all those left-handers might prove to be a little bit of an issue down the track. You've got guys out. I mean, Puran hasn't had any form whatsoever either. Shimron Hetmeyer been steady, and Evan Lewis. So I think they're going to rely heavily on Lewis at the top to get them away to a really good start, and then quite heavily on the likes of Pollard and Russell at the back end if they are to sort of really post a decent total.
DK, just talking about intent, right? Because you get the West Indies batters, they're just like clear the front leg and hoik. It's kind of, what their intent is. They all bat with one gear and they are criticized for that. But they could easily come look us in the face and say, well, wait one second, we're playing a team whose resurgence in white ball cricket is based on that fact that they just got all these sledgehammers and heavy hitters and they would just blast the opposition out of any game by the strength of, the totals they would put up. That's England, and that's what their resurgence was. That what got him the 2019 World Cup trophy. But they still always had the experience of Morgan there, right? Who is and has shown ability to change gears. Now, West Indies could have had that in Roston Chase. Now, one of the 6 from the top perhaps would by force need to play that role if things kind of, tend to fall apart. Which one of these batters are you looking at to then play that role? It's probably going to be the captain Pollard.
GK, I'll answer that question a little differently. You got to understand West Indians are very emotional people. They run a lot and they run with their feelings a lot. And for them, Chris Gayle is looked at as a legend. He is that talismanic figure that they all look up to, the big brother. They all love him. I think if you did drop him at the start of the tournament, you're going to lose him for the rest of the tournament. I think they really enjoy his presence. He is somebody, when he gets going, he gets the team going. And that's one of the main reasons that a Pollard will keep backing him. You'll see Gayle keep on playing consistently. It has to go really pear-shaped for him to be dropped. Now, who will play what role? I will definitely tell you. But for the moment, there's one thing. West Indies lack terribly in the bowling department. They don't have too many options. The only way that they can compete if they get a par score plus 10 maybe, because you've got to understand, without a Sunil Narayan in there, that's a pretty ordinary bowling attack. Ravi Rampal is coming after so many years into this team. You have an Obed Bekoy who bowls well at the death and he's decent through the middle. Then who's going to bowl the new ball? Akil Hussain will definitely start. Who's going to open with him? So there are a few questions there. The bowling is not the best. It is a good attack, but it doesn't have that X-factor bowler, so to say, that's going to say, I'm going to put my hand up and win this game for you. They are definitely reliant on their batting, which goes all the way to number 8, and they're a very powerful batting unit. So even if you lose a couple of wickets, you can see them playing, in your word, ODI, one-dimensionally, where they keep attacking, look to keep getting the boundaries. I don't see anybody, taking time and playing, because they don't have the technique or the finesse to do that for a period of time. What they like doing is hit the big shots and put the bowler under pressure. You're not going to see somebody come and play like a Virat Kohli or a Babar Azam where they just knock it round for singles, put the bad balls away. They try and create bad balls out of the good balls thrown at them. So, that's always a double-edged sword. Sometimes it goes their way, sometimes it wouldn't. And hence you see the low totals that West Indies get when they don't get going on a certain day.
Yeah, that's very important. And that's why, the surfaces will play an important role as well. We've got a question that's coming. Let's have a quick look at that. We have Ask Cricbuzz. Hashtag. Come on, don't have to tell you. Hashtag. You send these questions in. Tanmoy Chakravarti, DK fan. Bit obvious there with your naming, Tanmoy. All right. Fan question. Should West Indies consider dropping Gayle if he can't contribute to give him opening slot because of his recent struggles at number 3? So there you go. He's already answered that question. Yeah. But I wanted to give Tanmoy his spot in the sun, right? That's the question that he had asked. And this is Cricbuzz Live. We do things the other way around. We give the answer and then we ask the question because we are like little Nolans, man. We're like little Christopher Nolans here. All right. Christopher Nolans, as we've all got our predictions wrong, by the way. I just want to tell you in the previous game. What was the power play? 29. Was it 29?
Dooley
He's
was the closest
29.
by about 10 runs. He said 39.
Yeah.
So the rule is, DK, the innings total, the give is 10 runs on each side. And with the power play, it's 5 on each side. So he just got horrendously and horribly wrong.
Nobody
But
anywhere.
it's also...
I tell you, as much as we got it wrong, I think we got to give, Australia a little bit of brickbats. They made us get it wrong. We expected them to, get it done in about 16 overs. They made it hard. They took it down the wire. But hey, it was a great first game for the World Cup. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's not our fault. The second one, we're going to get it right in the second one. But just a quick word on Sunil Narine, right? What was it said, Dooley, that Sunil Narine, failed a fitness test? Is that the reason why he's not in the World Cup squad, right? Looked pretty okay to me up till the final a week ago.
Look, that was the call. It's a bit like the South African situation. I'm confused as to how he fails the fitness test, how when you see some of them, a Ravi Rampal, when you see him today, how he passes one. There's confusion all around. I got to say it. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what the problem was. I know that if I'm having any team on any stage, Sunil Narine is better off in my team than not. That would be my opinion if I was captain, coach, and looking after that side.
Yeah, listen, DK, and you've got the best seat in the house. You watch him bowl every ball. That guy is something, isn't he?
If today I'm sitting here talking to you all after playing a final in IPL, I think a lot of credit must go to two boys. One is Sunil Narine and one is Varun Chakravarti. Those guys were tying a noose around every batsman's neck at different points of time in Sharjah. Nobody who traveled to Sharjah went back peacefully in that bus. All they were thinking about is how we counter these guys. I mean, look, Sunil Narine on one leg is worth his weight in gold dust, to be honest. He's a really good cricketer. He just looks like this laid-back, lackadaisical, easy guy. But geez, man, he is a real competitor, a really hard-working guy when it comes to his bowling. And he's a lovely guy as well. Internally, I think there's been a few issues, which is, I think, best left unspoken. But for the moment, West Indies have got a team which is good with the batting, but not so much with the bowling, I think.
Which is why you look at that team and go, where is Sunil Narine and why is he not playing? And somehow this whole fitness excuse, geez. I don't know about you guys, but I ain't buying that. I ain't buying. Sell it to somebody else because this brother ain't buying that. All right. Well, the West Indies are going to come out to bat first. And, we're going to attempt these score predictions again. I don't know. Sometimes it just feels
Do we have
like...
to?
Let's do it. Let's try it. Let's try our best.
Okay.
I mean, this game is happening in Dubai, and DK, you played. Played a couple of games in Dubai a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I played a few games actually. We played about 3-4 games there.
3-4 games there. Tell us about the surface. Tell us about it. Tell us about the dimensions of the ground. Tell us.
I think today again it's so there are basically 3 wickets that they would use in a game, because the center wicket and then there is 2 off-center wickets. That's how far you could go, because even though there are other pitches beyond that, you can't go because the camera can't cover it. The camera is in a certain place and they wouldn't get access to covering it. So you always work around 3 wickets. So you go from the left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's how many wickets Dubai has, and it's going to be 3, 4, or 5, whichever. If it is wicket number 4. Then it's a great batting wicket. If it's wicket number 3, which is what they're playing on, one side is slightly shorter. So that, works to your advantage sometimes. It doesn't work to your advantage sometimes. So, it works both ways. But, this wicket isn't easy to bat on, but I don't think it's a minefield as well. It'll be very similar in many ways to Abu Dhabi, but it'll have a little more grass on it, probably slightly spongy as well.
Dooley, don't you love DK the all-rounder giving us insight as player as well as broadcaster, right? He's also stood in the center and gone, one sec, the camera can't go to that one. He knows. He's giving us everything. Love it. I love it, young man.
He's right. He's right. We're on the left-hand side as we look out from the commentary box. I think from the changing room. I think we're on the left-hand side of the surface. So you got about 62, 63 meters away to one side and about 75, 76 meters away to the other side. So I'll try and utilize that short boundary as a batting unit. Try and utilize that short boundary. So think about maybe the likes of Lewis, to the left-handers, to the short boundary, and Simmons looking to the short boundary as well. But that's what they'll try and utilize.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that they bowled Moeen Ali for the first over, who did well, actually. It's just got a 6 of the last ball, but it's only given 7 away from the first over. Geez, Moeen Ali. Love that competitor as well. There's some great players on both sides. All right, listen, we're going to scoot out of here and see you in the comm box at the end of 10 overs. There's West Indies batting. So like score prediction, all the best, guys. I mean, is it 80? Is it 180? Is it 280? The swing with West Indies, depending on the day they're having. 155.
Just in case my microphone went. There you go. That'll do me.
Dooley's got 155. DK, what have you got?
162.
162. I think they're going to have a good day today. I think that short boundary is going to be peppered. A few balls are going to get lost. I'm saying 173.
All right. We will know in an hour.
Ian Smith's highest test score.
Ian Smith's highest test score.
173 against India, Eden Park.
Oh, wow. I just remember Ian Smith as part of the hat trick of Chetan Sharma. He was the second. Who was the first?
Well done.
Dooley, who was the first wicket?
Jeepers.
Come on.
Chris Kugelheim?
No.
Oh, okay.
Chetan Sharma was 1987
Chris
hat trick.
Kugelheim was Aaron Lal caught Chris Kugelheim off someone's bowling, or Chris Kugelheim caught someone off Aaron Lal, and that was 300th wicket for Hadley. So that was wrong. I don't know who was the hat trick.
So the first one was DK. You want to guess?
I wasn't born then. Don't even try me, please.
So what, I mean, 1 second. What does that mean? Yeah, so suddenly, if I
That
start
means
talking about Lala Amarnath, I'll just say no, I can't talk about him because I was not born then.
No, I said in my case, history is not one of my strengths.
So I'll tell you, it was Ken Rutherford was the first, right?
Oh.
Kenny was the first. Ian Smith was the second, and the third, a bowler, quick bowler.
Richard Hadley.
Hadley.
No, you guys fell for the trap.
Okay.
Richard Hadley didn't play that game, I think.
Ooh. Lance Cairns?
No, Lance Cairns also didn't play that game. It's the World Cup in India.
Okay.
Yeah, just leave it. Maybe that can be the joy factor question. Finally, I know something that other people don't know. Yeah, I know something. This is a red letter day. I'd like to thank my parents. Thank you so much for letting me watch television when I was so young.
You got me.
Yeah, well, okay. I actually got Danny Morrison as well when I asked him. On Breakfast with Champions, I asked him.
Okay.
He took about 3 minutes while walking down Chandni Chowk, and suddenly he turned and said, "Cheddars! Cheddars!"
Chatters.
Yeah. It was
Danny Morrison got a hat trick too, didn't he, against India at Napier?
Yeah. So Chatfield was the third.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to wrap the show up now. We cricket geeks. We could keep talking about this for a really long time. But we'll come up with some more geeky, nerdy stuff maybe in the next show. I'd like to thank Dinesh Karthik and Simon Doull. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here on Cricbuzz Live. I'm Gaurav Kapur, and we are going to see you in a little bit. Oh, it's a wicket. It's a wicket. It's a wicket. Bye.